everyone, welcome back to the Book Cave with me, Jenny. So today I have a video that is again about a book series, and this right now is a trilogy, and it starts with These Hollow Vows. And yeah, I heard about this through Courtney, and I'll have her channel linked down below. But this was a book of the month for one of her book clubs, and unfortunately I didn't make it in that month. But there is a sequel to this book, and then there is a companion book that is about the main character in this book, her sister. So basically what this series is about is there is a young woman named Bree, and she highly distrusts the Fae and distrusts most people in general because the world she lives in is not the greatest. Those who are poor are pretty much dirt poor and are trapped in a cycle of just barely scraping by monetarily. And at one point, her sister is sold to the Fae, and so she winds up going to the Fae realm to try to rescue her sister. And that is pretty much all I'm going to say about it. That is pretty much everything in the synopsis. There are a few other things, but I feel like they're kind of spoilers. So yeah, without further ado, I'm going to get to reading this book. So I'm about 21 chapters in now to These Hollow Vows, and this is a pretty good book. I will say I honestly wasn't expecting it to take almost a quarter of the book before we wound up in the Fae realm. So I feel like that kind of helped flesh out the human world a lot and showed, a lot of what Bree had went through and everything. And then I also was not expecting the fact that her younger sister Jazz was sold in chapter 3. So very early on in the book, I was expecting that to be, a little later in the book, to be honest. But yeah, so it did surprise me with some of those choices. I will say with the whole thing, the way Bree gets into the Fae realm is they're having a ball to marry the prince. And then with the way her cousins treat her, she basically cleans up after them. Her sister Jazz makes their clothes, and they basically do everything for them. It definitely gave me Cinderella vibes just from that. And it did have some darker things, obviously, with all the poverty. And then the fact that, there's life contracts that are made with the Fae and such as that. And then this does have 3 courts. You have the Seelie, the Unseelie, and the Wild courts. So it'll kind of be interesting to see how that interplays. And I know that's really not unique to Fae books, but this is actually, in all honesty, one of my first traditional Fae books, I would say. I haven't really read too many others. I believe I did read, Crescent City, but I don't know if that would be considered, classic Fae, or if I think Sarah J. Maas takes a little bit more liberties, whereas I feel like Lexi Ryan in this one sticks a little closer to it. And Throne of the Fallen, actually, that has the Fae as well. And I do feel like this has kind of similar vibes with the setup, but again, it is coming from the same legends, so we do have different, things that are going to be similar because it's based on a similar or the same backstory. So yeah, I'm going to get to reading more of this, and I will update you all then. So I've gotten a little further in These Hollow Vows. I have to say, I really like Bree's powers. I feel like it's pretty cool to see, how she can move through all like the shadows and that. And I just feel like that's a pretty cool little element to this book. And I'm also interested to see where these quests are going, and to learn what exactly is being planned by this king with these things. And then I have to say, I'm not that big of a fan of Sebastian lying. I understand why he did, but I'm definitely not that big of a fan of it. Finn, I feel like he's kind of your typical bad boy sort of vibe. So yeah, not too interested in any of the romance part quite yet. I did find some cool quotes though, because there's a library, and we find out that Bree really likes to read. And so Sebastian says that the first time he saw the room that her aunt had given her, he says, "You were curled in the corner of the bed, completely absorbed in that book. When you were reading, you were somewhere else. You were someone else." And I just thought that, was kind of very relatable to readers. And then another thing I really liked is that there are pixies that live in the library. They like to live among the books, and they sing. So I thought that was, really cool as well. And yes, I am definitely enjoying this book, and I'm looking forward to getting further into it. So I finished These Hollow Vows, and I do have to say I was not quite expecting that ending. I figured it would be, something that wasn't quite what it seemed, but that particular ending, yeah, I wish I would have brought book 2 with me to work so I could have started it, because the cliffhanger that it ends on, I just really wanted to continue on with it. So I did enjoy this, even if bits and pieces of it were pretty predictable. But again, with it being based on, the Fae myths of Seelie and Unseelie, bits and pieces of it are going to be predictable. And I felt like the characters were well written and well realized. And yeah, so I did enjoy this. I'm definitely looking forward to starting These Twisted Bonds. And I will be starting that more than likely when I go to work this evening. So I will report back when I have more to say on that book. So I'm about a quarter of the way into These Twisted Bonds now. And I do have to say I feel like this book is moving a bit faster than the first book. I do like that we get a good bit of political machinations, and then we also see a lot of Misha and get to learn about him, which I like, and kind of, get to see a lot of different things so far in this first quarter of the book. And it'll definitely be interesting to see how exactly Bree changes and, what she decides to do and, how everything works out for her. But I am definitely enjoying this more than the first book. I feel like I said, it does have a much faster and a much more interesting plot as well so far. So I've gotten just a little bit further in These Twisted Bonds, and I'm definitely enjoying learning more about Misha, and we get to see how he's helping the Unseelie, and I really enjoyed seeing that, and it just does show a lot of his character. I also enjoyed that we finally get to see Finn and Sebastian. I'm over 100 pages in, and we've only just now gotten to see them. We really only saw Bree, Misha, and I can't remember her name right now, but Misha's wife in this first part. And yeah, we're also learning a little bit more about Bree's powers. Or not necessarily her powers her themselves, but the fact that they may not be typical powers. They definitely seem to be kind of unexpected, according to Misha and even Finn and his friends. So yeah, I am enjoying this, and unfortunately I am reading it a little slower than what I thought I would be. But, I have been working every day since I started it, so the fact that I am actually 152 pages, 11 chapters in, is not bad considering. So yeah, I will be reading more of this and reporting back again. So I am about 3/4 of the way through these Twisted Bonds now, and I do have to say it's moving a little slow action-wise. There's a lot of relationship building, and I am enjoying seeing all the friendships grow and the bond between Finn and Bree grow as well. And I really like this quote that I just read that kind of shows where Finn is at. And Bree says, "I'm so sorry. I didn't have a choice in what your father did for me, but I am sorry for the havoc my survival has brought to your kingdom." And he says, "I'm not sorry, not for that part. When you came into my life, you were a bright star in an endlessly dark night, and I needed to see there was still something worth hoping for. And maybe that proves I'm still a spoiled, selfish child, but I won't be sorry for any choice that brought you here or kept you here. Please don't ask me to be." And yeah, I just really like the way that their dynamic is changing, and the way you can see that Bree is slowly starting to fall for Finn, and that you can see really just how deeply Finn cares for her, whereas before he kind of played it off as just flirting. But yeah, so I am definitely enjoying this. And like I said, I don't have a whole lot left, so I'm not sure how everything's going to wrap up, but that will definitely be interesting to see as well. So, I'm now at chapter 23 of this, and we have found out a big secret about Abriella. She is apparently a descendant of Mab. And then they're also talking about bonded and tethered matches. And I know the bonded match, that's something that they choose, and it's a ceremony. I'm not sure what exactly the tethered matches are, and I don't know if we'll get any explanation, because I don't have a whole lot left in the book, but I'm hoping that we will. If not in this one, then in the next one. So yeah, this is definitely picking up some now. I feel like these last just under 100 pages will probably go a lot faster than the middle part of the book. I've now finished these Twisted Bonds, and this wasn't necessarily a bad book. I did feel like it was a little slow though, and that the ending was a little anticlimactic in a way. But overall, this is an interesting world to be in, and I'm really enjoying the world building, and I'd love to know more about the different types of fae, the fire fae, and then the wild fae, and the goblins, and all these other creatures and stuff there are. And I've read a little bit of Beneath These Cursed Stars, I think is the next one, and so I know that gets into that a little more, so I'm excited to get more into that book. And yeah, that's really all I have to say about this one. So I've gotten about halfway through Beneath These Cursed Stars, and this follows Jaslyn and Felicity. And I like the fact that this is a dual POV, one from Felicity's, one from Jaslyn's. And if I remember correctly, they both are first person. Yes, they're both in first person. And one thing that's bothering me a little bit about Jaslyn is obviously she was in the first two books, and we do get to know her a little bit, but she seems to be very different in this book. She's much more angry and darker, and I do get that she went through a lot in those first two books, but even at the end of the second book, she seems very different from in this book. And now, granted, again, that was just a slight glimpse we got of her. She's probably able to mask a lot of what she's feeling. And then Felicity, we find out, is... it doesn't say what she is right there. She is some sort of shapeshifter, and we find out that she's related to the goblins. And I found the whole goblin thing very interesting in the other book, just like how they could kind of travel wherever and they knew everything that was going on. And then what exactly were they collecting the hair and stuff for? Well, we kind of find that out here. And yeah, that was just very interesting to see, different things that Felicity can see. Like if you have a goblin, you have a goblin ring. Because she is that shapeshifter related to them, she is able to see everybody's goblin, not ring, but bracelet. Everybody's goblin bracelet. And so she knows who else is working with a goblin or has a goblin. And yeah, I definitely want to learn some more about that background there. And then the other thing I like is that we get more of Misha in this book. And I did really enjoy Misha in the first book, the little bit we got to see of him. I kind of, like his playfulness and whatnot. And we do get to see that here as well. And then the final thing that I find interesting is we're actually learning a little bit more about the human realm and like the leaders and stuff. Because what we saw in the original two books, we just saw that things were bad. We didn't learn a whole lot about the leaders. We're learning a whole lot more in this book. So far, I'm liking this one a good bit better, honestly, than the first two. So yeah, I'm definitely interested to read the second book in this duology as well, which all I know is it comes out sometime next year. We unfortunately do not have a release date quite yet. Hey, so I found out what Felicity actually is. She's an echo, and it states that an echo is different than a shifter in the fact that they must sleep and dream before they can change their form to that of another. So again, I'm finding all of this very fascinating, and yeah, I'm loving all these little world building tidbits that we're getting. And then we also have Misha and Amira, and the friendship they have, despite the fact that they were forced to marry and didn't actually love each other. Yeah, I just think that's really great. And then Amira is also an empath, and so we can really see that, she does truly care about people beyond just the fact that she is able to feel their emotions. So yeah, I'm really loving the characters in this so far, and that was something in the first two books as well. I really loved the characters, but I also really love that we can see how much Lexi Ryan has grown as a writer through those first two books and into this one. So we're getting a little further with Jazz's plot as well. She has a ring that turns her into the Enchanting Lady, and she has the Kiss of Death. However, the price for this ring is that whereas most children of Mab become Fae at age 18, she won't. She will die at age 18. This is her trade-off for the ring. And she's just now blacked out, woken up in the middle of the day. She cannot wear the ring in the day, it will make her sick. But she still has the ring on. She has no clue where she's been. So I'm wondering, is the ring, starting to kill her? Because I know she's close to her 18th birthday, but I don't think it's said, exactly how close she is. But yeah, this is all getting very, very interesting, as I said before. So I'm now done with all the books that are out in this series. And yeah, I really wish I would have known that there's going to be a fourth book. It doesn't come out till next year. And the cliffhanger that this one ends on, I really want to read the next book. And yeah, I really did enjoy this series. I do have to say, I think this one, beneath these cursed stars, is my favorite. I feel like the stakes are much higher, and I feel much more connected to the characters than I did in either of the other two books. And I feel like we did get some more world building, but there are still a lot of questions, like how exactly do human mages work? We don't really get anything of that, so I'm hoping maybe we'll get more of that in the next book. But yeah, if you like fantasy and you like, kind of the high stakes, ruler of the realm, fae fantasies, I do think you would really enjoy this series. But yeah, that's everything I have for you today. And as always, thank you for joining me here in the book cave. And if you like this video, make sure to hit that like button and hit the subscribe button as well. That way you'll be notified every time I post a new video. And I have recently made a Bookstagram. And so I have my Bookstagram, my Goodreads, and I also recently started using the app Fable. And then I also have my Discord all linked in my profile. So just click on my little picture on your screen and all my links will be there. And I will see you next time in the book cave.